Hey, we gonna party tonight or what?
Yeah, we are gonna party.
So, what would you little maniacs like to do first?
Hey, Lashy Kids and Driving Mutants, it's Lady Shasha. I know it's been a while, but I'm back with a very special guest, and I think you will very much enjoy her. Her name is Doa Magdi, and she is the founder of the 60-Second Horror Fest. And here she is right now. Hi.
Hello, everyone. Hi. How are you doing today, Shasha?
I'm doing pretty good. Especially since we just had that wonderful supermoon last night that I think it was also a lunar eclipse. So it's feeling very, very powerful. Oh, let's check out who's in the chat. Of course, the first person here, Tony Man, says Greg Nice. Do you want me to say it? Greg Nice, Greg Nice, Dame un beso, ah we rock for a fee, not for free. Maybe I'll do it for charity. Now my employer or my employee is making Greg Nice very MAD. Don't ever think I'm jerking me. I work too hard for my royalty. I can't do it. Put lead in your ass and drink a cup of tea. Peace to Red Alert and Kid Capri. Ooh la la, ah wee wee. I don't know why he wants to hear me butcher rap lyrics, but he does it. Double Feature Horror podcast is here. They say, hey, everyone. Hello, Mika and Kira.
Hello.
And Tony says, Doa.
Tony.
So we will get right into it so you guys get to know Doa. My first question for her is, what's the first horror movie that you can remember watching?
Okay, I remember the whole story, y'all. So I was about 5-year-old. I was in Huntsville, Alabama, where I grew up. And my parents went upstairs to bed. And I was like, oh, let me watch something. And it was Chucky. And since then, I don't trust dolls. Like, since that moment, I'm like, don't give me any dolls. But then I really got hooked on the genre since. I'm like, ooh, it feels nice to be scared.
Mm-hmm. I have a Chucky doll back there. I have Annabelle too. I'll have to show you towards the end of the show.
Yeah.
The next one I have for you is, what is it that draws you to horror? What do you love about horror?
I love that horror is literally the only genre that tackles the socio-political issues that go on in society, because horror is really about reflecting all our fears on the big screen through different metaphors. And being a Black person myself, like growing up as a kid, I've only ever seen the Black guy die. So I'd be like, we're constantly eliminated. But if you keep in mind, like, if you put into perspective, if the Black characters are in the horror movie, the movie will be 2 minutes, because we wouldn't follow the noises. We wouldn't want to check out what's happening. We would just run, y'all. We wouldn't even want to explore what's happening in the woods. But yeah, that's definitely what grabbed me into horror, because I also always identified with the ghosts or the aliens in the movie, because from my personal experience, again, being Black, is that experience of otherness, the other that we fear. And every person or every creature that we fear in horror movies, it's literally they're fearing the otherness in them. So yeah, I love horror.
That does remind me, I should make a list video about horror movies where the Black person survives. Because the first person I think of is in Night of the Demons. The guy that was dressed like the pirate, he survived. And one of my favorite horror actresses, Kelly Jo Minter. She
Yes.
was in Nightmare on Elm Street 5. She had a little tiny role in The Lost Boys. Most of her character was cut out of the movie, but she was in it. And she was in Popcorn. She never dies in her horror movies. Oh, and People Under the Stairs. She was in that too. But
Yes.
in all the horror movies she's in, I think it must be in her contract. She never dies. I love that about her.
That's awesome. Yeah, I love when it's a non-white final girl. It's definitely adds to the layer.
Now, Double Feature Horror Podcast says, yes, horror has always been ahead of its time with the social commentary. And then Tony Mann says, any to be urban horror. That's what he likes.
Awesome.
Yes, Roger. Thank you. That's his name, Roger. The first person I thought of from Night of the Demons. Yeah. And I remember being so surprised when that happened the first time I saw Night of the Demons that he survived. I was like, wow. And technically, Spider kind of survived to the end of Return of the Living Dead, but then they blew the whole town up.
Then yeah, exactly. I was literally just going to mention, because it's always like, oh, Night of the Living Dead. But if you look at it too, like, would a Black male have survived during the turmoil happening in the States at that time? Like, also, it's like, and fun fact, when I went to watch Get Out, I watched it in theaters. I didn't. Fun fact, y'all, I'm known as Jordan Peele's future competition, just saying.
Oh, yes.
So I went to watch Get Out, and with the ending, I was literally sitting in the theater. I'm like, what? The Black guy made it? I was like, freaking out in the theater. And then my friends are like, yeah, it's Jordan Peele. I'm like, who? And and it was really interesting to watch the whole Get Out experience without knowing going in that it's made through the Black gaze, which we really don't have a lot of opportunities for that. So that was a nice thing to experience.
Oh, and I should mention, because I noticed you said that you grew up early in Huntsville, Alabama. For the people watching, they're going to think, how come she doesn't have an Alabama accent? Will you explain why you don't have an Alabama accent?
Yes. Okay. So I'm Nubian Egyptian. I moved to Vancouver, Canada in 2010. But after spending the first 5-6 years of my life in the States, I had to move back to Egypt. I also speak 4 languages, so that's kind of impacts my accent. So,
What are the 4 languages?
So Arabic, English, Spanish, and Italian.
Oh, very, very cool. Yeah. And Double Feature Horror Podcast says, in Get Out, I got nervous at first when I saw the sirens at the end. We all did. I'm pretty sure every Black person's stomach tightened up when those sirens pulled up, because we just knew, oh no. Because also it was established earlier in the film when they were pulled over the first time by the police officer. So you are expecting it's going to be the same police officer or worse. And the amount of relief that you feel when it's his TSA friend. And what's funny is that's not the original ending.
It's not.
The original Jordan Peele ending, it's going to end with him being in jail, but he thought that was just too dark of an ending, and he wanted to give some catharsis. So I appreciate him for that, because there are times when I want to watch a horror movie with Black people in it that it's just Black people being Black, but we don't have that. It's not overly, like, I like the socially conscious movies that interweave it, like how Candyman did and how Tales from the Hood did. But I also like when a movie can just be what it is, just a plain old horror movie. Like there was one recent with it was more of a thriller, but it was with Monique in the house, and she was chasing the young people that were they tried to do not really I guess it would be considered kind of like a seance or a psychic reading. It was just a creepy thriller movie, and I think that's good too. So I feel like there are times when Black people need a break. Sometimes we need an emotional break.
Yes, 100%. Like seeing ourselves on screen constantly, get defeated. They even made a Black horror TV show on Amazon Prime. It's called Them.
Yeah, the first season I couldn't make it through. It was too.
I was so traumatized, and then I was like, it wasn't made by Black people, and I was like, I'm looking into the cast. I'm like, that makes so much sense, because it's all about Black torture,
trauma. Yeah,
not empowering at all.
And for me personally, it wasn't a story that I needed to hear, because it was a story that my family went through. My grandparents on my mother's side actually went through that whole thing of being the first Black family in a white neighborhood in 1964, and the neighbors killing their dog and just really tormenting them. And the only reason why they were able to even purchase the house is the person that lived in it before them was Jewish, and they were tormented for being Jewish and not Anglo-white. So they made sure to sell their property to somebody else that was not considered white. But like, I don't need to see my family history on TV for entertainment. That's not entertaining to me. But I do recognize its place because there are people who do need to know what happened, especially when it comes to like a lot of people can move to the United States, but in their country they don't learn U.S. history, so they might not know it. So for them, that might be very educational. Like, oh shit, I didn't realize it was like that. So I think there's a place for it. It's just I'm not the audience for it.
No, it's I don't think it's like, yes, it's a black story, but it's
Mhm.
not for black folks or by
Yes.
black folks. And you can
Yes.
easily know that. Like it was just
Mhm.
like, no, don't do that to us.
The second season was a lot better. I actually made it through the second season.
Yes.
One of the directors was Hiro Murai. He's the guy that works with Donald Glover, and I think that made a difference. And I think also them adding more women of color writers to season two made it. And it tells a whole different story, but it was a much better concept than the first season.
It was so much better. Like it's also one of the creepiest faces I've seen in the horror movie. Like
Yeah.
just an idea of a sock and he's just putting makeup on top, but he was creepy as
Hmm.
hell.
He
Like,
was.
yeah, give me that kind of horror. I'll
And
take it.
that was a musician. I forget his name. He's not. I think it's Luke James. Is it Luke James? He's a singer. And
Yes.
this is like, yeah, this is like one of his first acting roles, and he did amazing.
He
Let
did
me
great.
double check. Was that Luke James in them? Let me see. Let's go on to IMDb. That's why I want a faster computer. Well, I think it's because I'm using a laptop. If I was using a desktop, I think it would be able to handle me streaming and being able to look up things at the same time a little bit faster. But I'll work my way up to getting a desktop. Where we go? That's where's the cast list? There it is. Ashley Thomas. Yes, it was Luke James.
Oh, okay. Wow. Is his
Yeah.
music like all lovey-dovey? Oh my God, that'd be
I'm no I'm not sure. I'm not familiar with his music. I just know that it was him. Uh,
okay.
where did I lose track of the comments? Yeah, double feature says yes. The Reading. That's the name of the movie. It was called The Reading, and yeah, Monique played the villain in that. She did a great job. It was a good thriller movie. Yes, sometimes the subject matter can be too traumatic. We didn't get through them because of that. Exactly. I've yet to meet a black person that watched the full season, the first
I
season of them, because it was just too dark.
think it's terrible. Yeah, it was him. Okay, cool.
Let me see what else I have here. Do you have a favorite subgenre of horror?
I really like a good slasher.
Me too.
I really like religious horror because I feel like, ooh, it's just creepy. Like it's just creepy. Like
Hmm.
especially, I feel like it's also interesting when they explore religious horror because they're targeting different audience. Either someone that's not religious, maybe somehow religious, someone spiritual, and each one receives this in a different way. So I really
Hmm.
like religious horror like that. I don't like zombies or vampires at all. I wouldn't even waste my time on that
Hmm.
because in my brain it's like it's too unreal. Like it's kind of goosebumps to me. Like that's the energy those movies give.
Hmm. For
But
me, it depends. Well, slasher is my all-time favorite. I can watch people get hacked up all day. It just, I don't know. I'm entertained by that. The scariest for me is definitely anything to do with demons. That just freaks me out. I mean, I think it probably has to do with I saw The Exorcist when I was 10 years old, but it was the edited version. It was on television, so it was without, everything that Reagan said. But and it still creeped me out. Now when I watch it back, the unedited version, I laugh at the crazy things that Reagan was saying to those two priests. I'm like, oh my God, did she just tell the priest to fuck the other priest? Oh my God. I love it. Zombie movies. I used to say that I didn't like zombie movies, and then I found out that I like a certain type of zombie movie. I think I don't like what do they call them? Like virus zombies.
Mhm.
I like the zombies that raise out of the graves. Like, so I like the ones that are like the Italian zombie movies where they have like the worms falling out of their eyes and stuff. I like those, and I like the Romero zombies and Return of
Mm.
the Living Dead series. But outside of that, I don't like modern zombie movies. They are very boring to me. And it's
Yeah.
always like the same thing. Someone gets bit and they don't want to get rid of the person that got bit because that's their friend. And it's like, no, I told my sister, if we have a zombie outbreak and I get bit, pop a cap in my ass immediately. Don't do the oh it's my sister. Don't no,
No, it
just
doesn't.
take care of business. I don't need to be around.
Yes, 100%.
Double feature podcast says there's nothing like a good slasher. Exactly. And I was so hoping for the return of the modern slasher. Like, did you get to see In a Violent Nature?
Just a couple days ago.
I was a little bit disappointed. Like, I loved the gore, I loved the concept, but there were parts that were so slow. I was like, this movie is moving at a snail's pace for me.
I
I just
actually liked it. Like, I'd give it 7 out of 10.
hmm
Like, for me, it felt like something new, horror ASMR,
hmm
because there's a lot of focus on the sounds of them walking in the forest.
that's
And
true.
that for me already sets up the scene. Like, it's already telling the audience there's going to be a huge discrepancy between the environment, nature. Like,
hmm
people are going there, oh my God, it's peaceful and everything. And you get those peaceful sounds, but whatever is happening is a complete opposite. Like, I felt it gave that, like, yes, low budget and everything. Like, low budget doesn't mean low quality, but I find it like it's really a revolutionary twist on that kind of horror. Like,
hmm
yeah, it's slow and there are cuts, so much time of the person walking,
hmm
but for me it was really the diegetic sounds. The sound is really that what made a difference for me watching this movie. Pretty good.
Also, the aspect ratio, I would say I kind of liked because at first I was like, why did they do that? But then I read that the director wanted to do that aspect ratio so you can see the forest better, the height of the trees and everything. So with that in mind, I was like, oh, that's a good idea. Now I have to ask you, without spoiling it, as a practitioner of yoga, what did you think of the yoga kill?
That was like, that's actually a kill to remember.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it really kept going. Like, it kept going. And again, it goes back to the main thing. Like, the way they directed this movie was a lot of focus on shots on the nature and sounds
Mm-hmm.
of nature. Adding the yoga and wellness element to it is really telling the audience you're not safe anywhere in nature. You're not safe even if you're meditating. And
Mm-hmm.
that still just amplified it because the person is like in their safe space doing yoga, whatever, and then things happen. So it's like, oh my God, that scene was definitely memorable. So I would never do yoga in nature.
Before no, we're gonna circle back around to the yoga thing because Doa also has a yoga channel, but we're in the horror space right now, so we're gonna continue with that for a little while longer. Chili Pork is in the house. Yes, Peter. Peter, why do you still have your channel? Peter had a channel called was it Gringo in Puerto Rico? Was the name of your channel? It was a pretty cool channel that was like just showing you the sights of Puerto Rico from a local's perspective. Um,
Ooh.
he had some really good videos there, even some creepy ones where he did some night vision stuff with a drone. He threw a drone in an area that was known to be haunted, kind of. If I remember correctly, correct me if I'm wrong, Peter. Double feature says hi to Peter. Tony Man says correction, Lady Shasha. You said you'd kill yourself, and I explained to you that you'd be a zombie and that I'd have to do. Yeah, I did say that if I got bit, that I would take myself out in a zombie apocalypse. Yeah.
Yes.
You have a question here. Tony Man says, "What did Doa think of Deviltown?" Which he calls it Deviltown. It's called oh gosh, Where Evil Lurks.
Oh my God. Okay, so I watched this movie sometime last year,
Mhm.
and my festival has a partnership with the Latin American Film Festival. So we did a partner screening just last week. And I gave everyone a warning that this movie is not for beginners at all. Like, when it comes to horror and the graphic stuff they show, there's always been certain rules in regards to like kids being hurt or animals. This movie said, fuck all the rules. We're going to break every single rule. I don't know if you watched it, so I'm not going to spoil it.
I watched it, yeah.
You did? Oh my God. Like, yeah, even the poster I posted is a dog and a kid standing next to each other. And that's it. This is a scene that stays with us for the rest of our lives, I guess.
And that's a fairly modern convention because there are movies from the 60s and 70s where the kids get hurt. One that stands out to me is John Carpenter's Assault on Precinct 13. 13? Is it? Yeah, I think it's Assault on Precinct 13. And this little girl, I won't say how she passes away, but it's near an ice cream truck to make it even worse. Like, oh my God, I can't believe they did that. Like, wow. And then just recently, the first, I don't know if have you ever seen the series From?
Yes. Yeah, I'm waiting for the next season. I'm like, come on.
Oh, good. You know, I got to come back to you about From after the cast, but after the live stream. But the very first episode, when it happened to, I wasn't expecting that to happen to that little girl. And it just really set the tone for the show that like, this is a dangerous place and anything can happen.
Yes. Yeah, I love that. I love like we're changing the rules in horror and like be like, okay, let's find out how it's gonna be. And all of the movies or even the show like From we mentioned, they definitely have good following.
Peter says, I'm changing to niche photography. I had nothing up right now, but thanks. Oh, your channel I thought your channel was doing pretty good. I liked the photography that you did of the island and everything. It was pretty nice. Yes, where evil lurks. Look at the faces. It's just like a yikes face. And they also say, when you take out kids, all bets are off. Yes.
That's true. 100%.
Speaking of people of color, is there a specific... Oh, know what? Let me come back to that. Is there an upcoming horror film that you're looking forward to?
The Substance. I'm actually going to the advanced screening tonight. I'm so excited to see how it is. Like, yeah, I haven't seen body horror in a while. And I'm really curious because there are rave reviews. Like the story, you hear it, you're like, oh, it's about substance, makes you look younger, whatever. Like, sounds like, okay, like we've seen that 1,000 times. But like watching the trailer and some clips online, I'm like, this looks like it's going to be a good movie.
Oh, it is. I got to see it. I'm going to film my review tonight after we finish on here. And without spoiling anything, I will just say the trailer does not spoil the movie at all. Like they left so much out. So you're going to be very, very surprised and happy. I would suggest it for people if you like David Cronenberg movies. It starts out more like a David Cronenberg movie, but it finishes more like a Frank Henenlotter movie. And I love Frank Henenlotter. So some people are going to be very surprised at the level of gore that's being shown in the movie theater.
Okay, that's awesome. Love me some gore. Yeah.
Yes. They say can't wait to see The Substance. Heard good things that it's out there. Love it. And Demi Moore does. A very brave performance. Very very brave. Halle Berry too, and Never Let Go. I went to a screening last week of Never Let Go. It was a crowd pleaser, but there's a lot of dramatic elements in it too. But that's due to it being directed by Alexandre Aja, and so it has a little bit of that French extreme element of the drama part of it. I was saying the other day that this year, this fall, I should say, has been really, really, I've been really impressed with the older actresses really showing up and showing out. From, even though The Deliverance was laughably bad, Glenn Close was good in it. I thought that she did a great job. Another one that was bad but good at the same time, The Front Room. There was an actress that's playing the mother-in-law. She really did her thing. And then you have Halle Berry. She did her thing and Never Let Go. And now Demi Moore, which, by the way, I did not notice. I had to look this up because I didn't realize how old she was. She's 61. She looks amazing for 61.
Okay.
But these women that are in their 50s and 60s in these horror movies are just. Oh, and I should mention Monique. Monique was also good in the Deliverance. I'm
Yeah.
like, it's good to see like life is not over after 30, and Hollywood always tries to like put the women on the back burner, but then they have old dude could do Taken movies till he's 75 years old, and it's like, no, you're a little old to be an action hero. Can we let a 30-year-old guy get on?
Yeah.
Where are the 30-year-old guys? Can they get? You can't even be a Marvel action hero till you're at least 42 years old, except for Spider-Man. He's the only one that gets to be young.
Younger.
Double feature says, wait, it skipped up when I was trying to click on this one. There we go. Glenn Close is my favorite thing about the Deliverance. Yes. And that line that this is a spoiler.
Spoiler, yeah.
Spoiler, sorry. Just go on TikTok. Someone made a drink. If you've seen the movie already, someone made a drink based on a line that the demon says. Go look for the drink named after that. They say, love seeing older women on screen. Older women have stories to tell as well. Yes. And they have the acting experience and chops to do so much. Tony Man says, little Will Smith and little Don Cheadle or Chadwick Boseman did the thing and never let go. Yes, I did say one of the little boys does favor Will Smith. Tony Man thinks that the other little boy looks like Don Cheadle, but I think he looks a little bit more like Chadwick Boseman. But either way, those two little kids, they did a really good job.
Okay, that's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Speaking of people of color in horror movies, is there any specific actor or character in a horror movie that was a person of color that, let me see how I phrased it, that inspired, influenced, or made you feel seen in a horror movie, TV show, book, whatever?
Honestly, when I read that question, I'm like, oh, right, let me think. And the thing is, I was the ADHD brain. Usually when it comes to movies or anything, that's a thing you forget. So I'm going to mention it in general. I remember like Brandy in I'll Never Forget What You Did Last Summer. She did something to me. I don't know what she did to me, but I know something happened because, again, like growing up in Egypt is very different. Like I only found out I'm Black like 2020. So that's a different story. So at that point, when I try to think about someone that looks like me, there was always a huge conflict between the concept of Blackness and am I identifying with them because I'm Black or their hair is curly? My hair was always straight. Like it's so much deeper than one specific person. For me, it was much wider spectrum.
Well, name several if you want to. We have a whole conversation.
I always, and they're not all POC only. Like that's the thing. So I'm trying to think. For me, like again, the biggest hit for me was Brandy. I don't know if it was the energy, what she brought to the movie. Like, this is the first thing that came up to me. Also,
well, it makes sense because she's America's sweetheart. She's like the girl next door. At that time, she was Cinderella. She was a Disney Cinderella. Like you just want to identify with her. Just that what's the word I'm looking for? It's like a sweetness. She was like a very sweet person in her carriage and her character. In most of the things she did, like when she had her sitcom Moesha, like she just was that sweet girl next door. So you want to identify with her.
Yes, just so sweet.
The also having the braids for so long, like that was like such an identifiable characteristic with her, and it wasn't something that you saw every day on television.
No, and this is actually something that I've always dreamt of since I was 5, just to do my whole hair in braids. I've never done that. So I think this was a side of me that's like, oh, it'd be cool if I did my hair like that. Another character that is not human would be E.T. Because I don't know, I identified with E.T. so much because how society or human perceived him is like, again, that concept of otherness. And this is one of the biggest, I think, influences that got me into exploring and researching more horror up until I decided to do master degrees on horror. Is like, I feel like more than humans, there were also those those characters that I identified with. So I got E.T., I got Brandy. I had a lot of empathy for Michael Myers. He might be canceled for this, but basically it's like, I don't know, maybe this is me growing up being like the super kind person, but actually horror as a genre in general taught me a lot about empathy and what happens to society when they don't go to therapy or they don't find ways to heal and channel that. We end up hurting other people because, again, as I mentioned at the beginning, horror for me is not about the gore and how many people are murdered. It's about the metaphors behind. So it's really interesting. I'm saying all those examples. I'm like, wait, did I only identify with the monsters? Oh my God. Yo, this is so really happening on this live stream, y'all. Because I would love to see Candyman. I always think about what would I do if I saw Candyman in real life? I'd give him the nod. I'd be like, hey. The Black people nod.
I have a fun story about that. The actor Tony Todd is from Hartford, Connecticut, and he grew up a couple houses down from where my mother and my aunt, and my uncle lived as children. And he used to tell them when they were playing, when they were little kids, I'm gonna grow up, I'm gonna be an actor. And as little kids, they didn't believe him in the neighborhood. They're just like, because this is in the 1960s. They're like, yeah, whatever, Tony. How are you gonna be an actor? And now look, and it's funny because my mother's cousin had just called the other day and was like, oh, I'm gonna go visit Tony, because they just call him Tony. And it's like, wow. And when I was a teenager and they told me these stories, I didn't believe them. I didn't believe my mother. I was like, you don't know him. Why they had him call my grandmother's house while I was there, and it scared the heck out of me. I answered the phone and he did the Candyman voice.
Oh my God.
I almost died. I was like, oh my God, that really is him. Wow. He was a good sport for doing that too.
Oh my God.
Double Feature says there are a few, a favorite being Jada and Demon Knight. Yes, I agree with that. She really was. She really. And then they have a question. Do either of you feel it's getting better for people of color in the genre horror in terms of roles? I would say yes and no. I would say yes because I'm seeing way more people of color in roles in horror. But the one thing that still has to be addressed is the colorism issue, because I'm seeing so many, especially specifically with horror TV, that a lot of the main characters are generally a biracial girl with a certain look. And I think it's good that they get those roles, but I don't want them to erase the phenotypically brown skinned pretty Black girls too. I feel like that's not cool. Don't erase, don't narrow Blackness down to just one concept. It's kind of like how in the 80s, the It Girl was always, in the early 80s, was always the blonde girl. And then Molly Ringwald happened, and they were like, "Oh my God, we can have a redhead be a star." It's like a Black version of that. And what makes me upset more about it is when it's perpetrated by Black directors. I don't like. You have an opportunity to showcase all different types of Black people, especially in U.S. In the U.S., we have so many types of Black people. You almost never see a Jamaican character on anything. There's lots of Jamaican people here. There's lots of Haitian people here. There's lots of Dominican people here. The last movie I saw where that was kind of represented was Vampires versus the Bronx. Those kids were specifically Black and Dominican to just show that, there's different types of people in America. And I feel like that's left out. And there's still kind of funny acting about Asian Americans too. Like we have a pretty big Asian American population, and they kind of get ignored in movies. It's like one or two actors get roles, but it's not enough. And some of the all stars there is like homeboy from Hatchet. I forget the actor's name, but I love him. I was like, he should have been in way more things after Hatchet because he's so likable. He's funny. He's cute. Like, why is he not in more things? So it's a double-edged sword. We're seeing more of us, but a lot of times and that's happening. I should mention with Asians too. A lot of times with the TV series, it's usually a half white, half Asian person rather than a fully Asian person. So they're coming out with all these series where the person always has to be either half Black and half white or half Asian and half white. Like I'm not saying that those characters shouldn't exist, but they shouldn't replace characters that are, phenotypically and identifiably Black or Asian. So I think there's room for both of us. There very much is. Tony Man asks, "Oh, I'm sorry. Before I move on, did you want to add anything, Doa, before I jump forward?"
No, I was just gonna say, for me personally, I feel like it is getting a bit better, but I feel we definitely need much more Black female presence in the horror genre, not just in front of the camera, but also behind it, because I feel like I don't think I've ever met a Black woman in my life that can't figure things out. So we want more stories. Like, what stories can we make together? And we need the space for that.
Tony Man asks, which Michael Myers, zombie or Carpenter's?
Both. I love Michael Myers equally.
I like Carpenter's a little bit better than who I call Hobo Myers, because he looks like a hobo.
It's hilarious.
They say that's so awesome. Tony Todd is a legend. Yes. Peter says Dwayne Jones is my favorite Black actor for making it past the first reel. Yes.
Yes.
And he is iconic. Definitely agreed with you about colorism, mission. We are not a monolith. Yes, exactly. Hobo.
Yeah, that's freaking hilarious.
Let me see. Why don't we talk more about your festival? Because I think the people here don't know Doa has a horror film festival in Vancouver, Canada. And she is the first person of color to have a horror festival in Canada, which is huge. What inspired you to start your own horror festival?
So Her and Second started as an idea of a personal project, because I feel as creatives of color in general, we have so many barriers besides the financial barriers, accessibility barriers to even cameras or whatever things it is, so that it's so much easier for us to like just give up on our dreams. But one day I was like, oh, wait a minute, why can't I just film a horror movie on my phone? And then a moment later, I'm like, wait, instead of a personal project, why don't I make it a community project? And that way it grows into a festival. Between the idea and making the festival come to life, the whole time was 9 months.
Wow, that's pretty big.
Yeah, I had a lot of people that told me, like people that work with festivals, they're like, you can't just do this in this time frame. It's impossible. I'm like, watch me. It's going to happen.
And what made you select the time frame as a 60-second horror film?
Because first of all, I feel like since the pandemic, we can all notice our attention span is lower.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Everyone got super creative with the TikTok videos, and the limit is always a minute. So I was like, this can help neurodivergent folks whose focus are lower, because I always personally love horror anthologies. For my brain, it was the best thing to watch. And so people are kind of used to TikTok. They know how to make 1-minute videos. And it's also a great challenge to bring out your story in just a minute and cut it out and make it a story. That's why I tell people, if you've ever posted a TikTok video or a reel, you can submit a movie to Her in Seconds, because it has to be filmed on your phone, 60 seconds or even less. I had movies that were 30 seconds last year, and no dialogue. So making it accessible AF, you don't even need to write a script, because I'm a firm believer filmmaking is not about the editing, the fancy effects, whatever it is. It's about the stories we tell. If a movie or a piece of work of art that really touched you, a few years from now, you're not gonna say like, yeah, that editing software was awesome. No, you'll be like, that story really touched me. So yeah.
Double Feature says, love that you didn't let others stop you from pursuing your goal.
Thank you. And they're always men. Why?
Because they're in some ways, men can be less organized than women. So I think they can't envision making certain things happen as quickly as a woman can make things happen.
Exactly. Especially we get things done and we're like, let's go.
Yeah, one time I was explaining to my husband, because he asked me, how come it takes you longer to get ready than me? And I said, think about all the things that I have to do to get ready that you don't have to do, especially if it's that time of the month. There's so many steps to me getting out the door that you don't have to take.
Yes, exactly.
Mhm. Um, oh, I noticed in your social media. Actually, let me pull that up on the screen while we're talking.
Okay.
Let's move this over. That your festival is about more than just movies. I noticed that there's more things going on, like right here. You tell us about the other events that happen at your festival?
Yeah, absolutely. So when we launched the festival last year, it was November 2023. I wanted it also to be more than the traditional film festival because, again, my whole approach to my art in general is all about community. How can I make this a community based event? So I was like, oh, let me add more things, but make them horror themed. So we had some live horror-esque performances. You can go on the reel, there will be some videos. We had live performances in jazz. We had metal performance. For this year, I have on the programming also adding horror drag. And another thing we did last year, I curated a horror poetry night. So that way I
Oh,
can highlight beyond the local filmmakers. So we had local poets share their art, and it was just such a sweet and intimate event. And in that event, I also hired an indigenous company for catered charcuterie, and it was all horror themed, like eyeballs that are chocolate, tongues that are like, I don't remember, cheese, whatever it is.
mhm.
So it definitely like people really enjoyed the innovative approach to film festivals there.
Yeah, it looks like a lot of fun. And if you guys didn't notice the thumbnail for this, the photograph that she took was also one of, if I'm not mistaken, is one of the events at your film festival. The it's like a photo booth, but a little bit more than a photo booth.
Yes, yes, we had a photo booth last year in the festival too. Like it was a last minute plan because again, I'm on a budget. I don't have grants or anything. So the photographer was like, let's make it happen. I'm going to bring a photo booth. And I brought the props from home, all the Halloween props. And this is why I created this festival because to highlight that low budget doesn't mean low quality. And in fact, we can make so many creative things and without that much of a budget because again it's all about the idea, it's about the vision that we have.
And I know I'm playing these kind of small, so you guys go to Instagram and follow Horror in Seconds, so you can see the visuals with the music. I'm not playing it with sound because YouTube sometimes dings you for copyright if you play music. So again, that's Horror in Seconds. Oh, there's something else here. We
This
have
is
different.
from the partnerships that I had this weekend. I had community partnerships with two actually big film festivals in Vancouver, which was so exciting. I'm like, what, it's the second year and we're on the big screen as a community partner.
Very, very cool.
You'll see lots of booty videos too. I like to share messages while twerking because why not? Like, yeah.
There it is. There she is. You see it down
Yeah.
here.
Oh, woohoo!
Let's see if I can bring it back. There we go. All the partners, community partners. That's the most
Yes,
important thing. Community, building
exactly.
community.
Exactly. And this is the new Horror in Seconds merch.
Who's ready to watch some queer horror stories? See you tomorrow at 8:15 p.m. Vancouver Queer Film Festival. Very, very
Yeah.
cool. Let me go back to the page and I'm going to bring up a couple comments. All right. Peter says, I found shorts to be the most challenging content to make. I couldn't imagine producing a horror short. I still think you could do it.
Oh, that's exactly why you should do it
Mhm.
because once you can make a one horror movie, making a feature in the future is going to be nothing because you
Mhm.
know exactly how to bring out your story in such a short amount of time. And again,
Mhm.
if you ever made an Instagram reel or a TikTok video, this is exactly what you're submitting to Horror in Seconds. Horror in Seconds is also a very like the horror stories that we have are super wacky.
Mhm.
Can we share an example actually? You don't need
Sure.
sound. There's no sound. Let's go to the video. One of my latest 1 minute movies called Guy No Hell, inspired by true events. So go a little bit more down. It should be like a creepy clown thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I
one.
see it. This one. Oh, it's
And that will give you like an example.
there we go. Can I make it bigger? There we go.
Yeah.
I love the chewing gum. And the blood on the sleeves. Oh no. Oh Jesus. It was cool. Horror in Seconds production.
Yeah, as you can see, like literally in my bedroom, it's just me. Because again, if we're having a barrier of getting out actors, why don't we just make our own story? Because I think the only barrier people have from submitting a movie is the overthinking. That's it. That's it. If you just go for it, our themes for this year is either urban legends or religious horror, or you can combine both together. For me, Gyno Hell goes under the category of urban legends because there's an urban legend that none of this hurts. Like you're not gonna feel anything, and then it really hurts. And it's always like, yeah, it's just like a tampon. I'm like, it's not like a tampon. Like, yeah.
Double Feature says, love that. Great variety, very immersive experience.
Thank you. Thank you.
And they said, oh no, is right. Reacting to the Gyno Hell. While we're on the page, I want to direct everyone's attention to her link tree. And there's a horror in seconds film submission link right here. And beneath that is also her GoFundMe. Every little bit helps. So if you can donate to that, that would be helpful. CBC on Coast to Coast interview, how to make a 60-second horror film on your phone. I should have you back to do a presentation on that. You guys in the chat, would you guys want to see a like tutorial with Doa explaining how to make a 60-second horror film on your phone? And Doa, is that something you would feel comfortable doing on a live stream?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Georgia Strait article, Horror in Seconds might be Vancouver's most unique film festival. The Peak article, Horror in Seconds centers BIPOC filmmakers decolonizing the genre. Vancouver's awesome article. Very, very cool. For the submissions, what is the deadline? Let me see if it shows on here. Great photos on here.
The due date is 10/10, so October 10th.
October 10th. Okay.
If we do the presentation thing together about how to make a 60-second horror movie, then I can offer that you folks upload just a clip of your film. Then I'll give you another due date so you can submit it.
Oh, that's excellent.
Yeah, we can make that deal.
And that'll be a special for just the people that are in here live. Y'all, those of you that were able to show up live. Yes. The people that catch the replay, I can't guarantee that we can offer you the same thing. But the people here live, I definitely encourage you guys to do this. Let's see. Double Feature says, yes, overthinking is so true. You can be your biggest roadblock. I found that with myself, even with making videos. I have a video actually that I recorded probably last spring. It was a review for The Exorcist. I forgot the name of the new Exorcist movie. I recorded a review and I never posted it because I just didn't think it was good enough. And I should finish editing it and posting it. I don't know why in my mind I watched it back and I was like, I should re-record this. And then I never ended up re-recording it because I just didn't think it was good enough. Hey, Allie, I'm glad to see you here. She says, yes. And Dolphy says, that would be awesome.
Okay.
Peter says, yes, I'm trash at shorts.
Oh, Peter.
But he makes really good long form videos though, with the drone and with the other I'm not sure what other cameras you use, but the scenic photography, he's really, really excelling at that. So I have to give him props for that. Someone says, I would love to see an actual tutorial. Why is someone saying follow the schedule? He's trying to keep me on task. What time is it? Okay, we're doing good. We're doing good. We still have a few minutes. While I'm here, let me backtrack because I had mentioned earlier when we were talking about the yoga kill in A Violent Nature. I have to backtrack because Doa also has a yoga channel. Let's see if I can go back and bring it up here. Sorry, guys, my computer's a little slow. I am actually clicking buttons, but it's taking a moment. There it is. Yoga with sound effects. And it says here, I have millennial knees and I teach yoga with sound effects. I love that. And we'll play. We have a
Diego Sound Effects. This is your girl Doa. Today we're going to explore 3 shapes to help with lower back discomfort. First one is going to be cat-cow. So come on hands and knees or knees and fists. You're going to inhale, bring your belly down, gaze slightly up. As you exhale, you arch your back like an angry cat. Meow! Do that a couple of times on your own count. From there, we're going to open up our knees as wide as it is accessible to us. Push the booty towards the heels. Whee! Coming into Balasana, child's pose. Extend the arms in front of you. Stay here for a few breaths. And lastly, we will transition into forward fold. So stand nice and tall.
I love
Inhale, bring your
choice
arms
of
up.
colors.
As you exhale, bend your knees generously. This is an option to keep your hands on top of your thighs. Hug the elbows together. Or if it is accessible to you, you can bring your fingertips towards the mat or on the mat, straightening your legs. You know what, y'all? Life is hard. So let's make our life easier on top of the mat. Bring the block.
Accessibility.
And rest your hands on top of it. To come out of this, you're going to come into halfway lift, and you know what's coming. Shake that thing, miss. Go. Let it up, let it up. Shake it up, shake it up. Ooh, 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 ooh. My back feels better.
I love that. And that's a great space to do yoga, and you have so much space around you. I love it.
Yes.
Dolphy Shasha, you're great. Finish that video. Thank you. I really, really appreciate that.
Please do it. Yeah.
And Nightmare Files is here. Go and check him out. I just recently, maybe a week or so ago, did a reaction video to his video. He made a really in-depth video about the story, the true story behind Demon House, or The Deliverance. I never remember the name of that movie. The Deliverance. The Deliverance. There's a true story about a family in Gary, Indiana, that the movie The Deliverance is inspired by. Let's make that distinction. Because they took a lot of liberties with what they decided to show. They took a lot of liberties. But Nightmare Files, he did a great video on that. I believe he also has one on Cabrini Green and the true story that inspired some of the things in Candyman. Like, there was a woman that lived in Cabrini Green in Chicago, and someone actually did come through her mirror and kill her. And like, he has really, really good videos on like true crime, but through a people of color lens, which I really like. And I like his voice. He has a soothing voice. So definitely go check out Nightmare Files.
Okay. Noted. Let's go, Nightmare Files.
Oh, and I have to show this one because I think it's funny. This is when
you
did Craig. Let me see if I can play a snippet of them. Come on, play. If I can play a snippet.
Oh, this is not the one with the makeup. This is just a video.
Wait, there's another one.
It's this one. The one on the left. Yeah.
The top one or the bottom one?
The top one. I'm quite sure.
Yeah, she transformed herself into
Craig David. Y'all, I hope I don't have Gen Z in the house. This is Craig David. Now you're dressed in black. When I left, you were dressed in white. Can you feel me?
All right, I gotta mute it because I don't want to get dinged. But y'all know what song it is.
Yeah, exactly.
You did a good job. And then the photograph is like that. I would never have known that was you.
So many people didn't, so it's gonna be the one under it. Yeah, so many people
Mhm.
didn't recognize me at all. And yeah, I showed up to the yoga class like this. I teach themed yoga classes, and that week
Oh,
was
you
David week.
you did Craig David. Wow.
Yeah, but everyone I got was Gen Z, and they had no clue who Craig David
They
was.
didn't
And
know.
I was like, oh my God, this whole like setup, nothing.
Wow. Let me go back up so you guys can remember to follow Yoga with Sound Effects.
Yes.
And then I guess since we're heading towards that hour mark, I guess we better close up shop soon. Oh, Nightmare Files is the praise hands. Thank you. We'll definitely check that out. They say love Craig David. Love Craig David. This is great.
Thank you. Thank you.
Let me bring the screen back to okay. How do I have to move this over. There we go. So we're both like this again. I
Awesome.
have to thank you so much for coming through. Well, it's always a good time talking to you, anyways, because you just have like such a positive energy and a cool spirit. Like the vibes are vibing, and I appreciate that.
Thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate this.
Oh, I forgot that Peter to remember Peter's from Gary, Indiana. He says, I grew up next door to that house. When I lived there, it was owned by an old Polish couple. Funny to see in horror lore. You have to do a story time about that house, Peter.
Yeah, please.
Like
I'm gonna hear it.
Yes, we all want to hear the story time.
Or Peter, go record the 60-second video on that.
Alexa, stop. She's telling me the energy. Ali says, loving the energy. Thank you for this. Thank you guys. I really appreciate you coming through. And this won't be the last time you see her. Spoiler, it was never, he says, spoiler, it was never haunted.
No, come on. Why did you do that to us, Peter?
So what were the police talking about? The police said that they went there and heard voices and stuff.
Oh my God.
Such a great conversation. We've subscribed to all the socials. Yay!
Oh my God, thank you so much. Thank you, thank you.
Oh, the stay on schedule is an inside joke for myself. Oh, well, you have to explain it to me because
yeah, like,
I thought you were trying to be the producer or something. Which I do. I mean, being that I do have ADHD, but actually both of us have ADHD, and this has been a really concise conversation for two people with ADHD. I feel like we deserve credit for that.
Yeah, y'all. Okay, let's give it to ourselves. Let's go.
Because I'm a get off topic type person.
Okay, this is awesome.
Peter says the Jackson house got more ghosts. Oh, talking about the Jacksons, like the Jackson family. Wow. So let me wrap it up. Thank you so much again, Doa, for coming through. Thank you to the chat. Y'all are amazing as usual. You make the conversation really flow. I appreciate that. And with that, I guess we're good. Oh, I should mention, I had mentioned earlier that I just recently did a live stream reacting to I just his name, Nightmare Files video. I also reacted to a few other videos regarding the if I ever remember the name of this movie, I swear. The Deliverance.
Oh my God.
Why can I never remember the name of this movie? I have that review coming up, and I'm going to do a cosplay for that one. And the two other reviews I got coming up will be for, three, now that I think about it. Because I have Never Let Go and also The Substance, but I also have a double feature review about both versions of Speak No Evil. So that's what's coming up in the next few days to next week. So thank you guys again. And I guess I'll say goodnight. Bye.
Okay, see y'all. Thank you.
Don't let go. down and turn it down right